Paedophiles are using artificial intelligence, intelligence technology to create and sell lifelike child sexual abuse material. The BBC has found some are accessing the images by paying subscriptions to accounts on mainstream content sharing sites such as Patreon. Patreon said it had a zero tolerance policy about such imagery on its site. The National Police Chiefs Council said it was outrageous that some platforms were making huge profits, but not taking moral responsibility. The makers of the abuse images are using AI software called Stable Diffusion, which was intended to generate images for use in art or graphic design. AI enables computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. The Stable Diffusion software allows users to describe using word prompts any image they want, and the program then creates the image. But the BBC has found it is being used to create lifelike images of child sexual abuse, including of the rape of babies and toddlers. Police online child abuse investigation teams say they are already encountering such content. Freelance researcher and journalist Octavia Sheepshanks has been investigating this issue for several months. She contacted the BBC via children's charity, the NSBCC, in order to highlight her findings. Since AI-generated images became possible, there has been this huge flood. It's not just very young girls, there are pedophiles talking about toddlers, she said. The pseudo-image generated by a computer which depicts child sexual abuse is treated the same as a real image and is illegal to possess, publish, or transfer in the UK. The National Police Chiefs Council EPCC lead on child safeguarding, Ian Critchley, said it would be wrong to argue that because no real children were depicted in such synthetic images, that no one was harmed. He warned that a pedophile could move along that scale of offending from thought to synthetic to actually abuse of a live child. Some of the image creators are posting on a popular Japanese social media platform called Pixiv, which is mainly used by artists sharing manga and anime. But because the site is hosted in Japan, where sharing sexualized cartoons and drawings of children is not illegal, the creators use it to promote their work in groups and via hashtags, which indexes topics using keywords. A spokesman for Pixiv said it placed immense emphasis on addressing this issue. It said on 31 May it had banned all photorealistic depictions of sexual content involving minors. The company said it had proactively strengthened its monitoring systems and was allocating substantial resources to counteract problems related to developments in AI. Mrs. Sheepshanks told the BBC her research suggested users appear to be making child abuse images on an industrial scale. The volume is just huge, so creators will say we aim to do at least 1,000 images a month. She said comments by users on individual images in Pixiv make it clear they have a sexual interest in children, with some users even offering to provide images and videos of abuse that were not AI generated. Mrs. Sheepshanks has been monitoring some of the groups on the platform. Within those groups, which will have 100 members, people will be sharing. Oh, here's a link to real stuff, she says. The most awful stuff. I didn't even know words of descriptions like that existed. Different pricing levels. Many of the accounts on Pixiv include links in their biographies, directing people to what they call their uncensored content on the US-based content sharing site Patreon for what they call uncensored content. Patreon is valued at approximately $4 BNPS 3.1 Ben and claims to have more than 250,000 creators, most of them legitimate accounts belonging to well-known celebrities, journalists, and writers. Fans can support creators by taking out monthly subscriptions to access blogs, podcasts, videos, and images, paying as little as $3.85 of each 3 per month. But our investigation found Patreon accounts offering AI-generated, photorealistic, obscene images of children for sale with different levels of pricing depending on the type of material requested. One wrote on his account, I trained my girls on my PC, adding that they show submission for $8.30 past 6.50 per month. Another user offered exclusive uncensored art. The BBC sent Patreon one example, which the platform confirmed was semi-realistic and violates our policies. It said the account was immediately removed. Patreon said it had a zero-tolerance policy, insisting creators cannot fund content dedicated to sexual themes involving minors. The A company said the increase in AI-generated harmful content on the internet was real and distressing, adding that it had identified and removed increasing amounts of this material. We already ban AI-generated synthetic child exploitation material, it said, describing itself as very proactive with dedicated teams, technology, and partnerships to keep teens safe. Image generator Stable Diffusion was created as a global collaboration between academics and a number of companies led by UK company Stability AI. Several versions have been released, with restrictions written into the code that control the kind of content that can be made. But last year, an earlier open source version was released to the public, which allowed users to remove any filters and train it to produce any image, including illegal ones. Stability AI told the BBC, "App prohibits any misuse for illegal or immoral purposes across our platforms, and our policies are clear that this includes CSAM child sexual abuse material. We strongly support law enforcement efforts against those who misuse our products for illegal or nefarious purposes. As AI continues developing rapidly, questions have been raised. Future risks it could pose to people's privacy, their human rights, or their safety." The NPCC's Ian Critchley said he was also concerned that the flood of realistic AI or synthetic images could slow down the process of identifying real victims of abuse. He explains, "It creates additional demand in terms of policing and law enforcement to identify where an actual child, wherever it is in the world, is being abused as opposed to an artificial or synthetic child." Mr. Critchley said he believed it was a pivotal moment for society.